Hello, this is Terry Ensberg. My quote for today is always look where the action isn't, because that's where the action is. That was said by Richard Osmon in a book called The Thursday Murder Club. Very good book. This caught my eye because during this time of pandemic and the presidential election, which is unusually fraught with emotion this time around, it seems to me that I know I am, and I think as a group, as a population, we are losing track of the other news that's happening in the world. I think that it's so easy to get caught up in the pandemic and the election that it's hard to focus on everything else that's going on. And yet the world still does go on, and all the other areas of life that have always been in process are still in process. So I have seven, 8 items that I have seen in the news this week of things that are going on that are not about the election or the pandemic. Okay, here's one. It has been this week Fat Bear Week in Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. And the winner of the Fat Bear Week contest is Bear Force One, a very chunky bear. Now, when I read this, it occurred to me that if I gain weight, my doctor acts like I'm a criminal. If a bear gains weight, he wins a contest and everybody thinks it's cute. The second thing is that we've now reached the point where a robot can perform a colonoscopy. It's not generally available yet, but it's been done in an experimental situation. Now, this can either be done by a combination of the robot and an operator who controls it with, get this, a joystick, or it can be done autonomously, just the robot, who guides the camera with magnets on the outside of your body and on the camera, so the magnets track each other. If the robot has help from a human being, there's 56% success. If the robot does it autonomously, there's a 96% success rate. Personally, I object to a colonoscopy being done by something called a joystick. The next thing on my list is that Mercedes is developing the longest range electric vehicle in existence that maybe could go more than 750 miles on one charge, and they may even beat out Tesla. I think that's pretty big. I mean, I think that's where cars are going. Absolutely, we're going to be getting away from gasoline engines. That, to me, that's a significant piece of news. Here's another one. The rich live longer, a lot longer. They invest more money in their health. But a couple of other interesting things about why they live longer is they are more focused on the future, so they think about consequences more of how they live, and they have a positive mindset, and they tend to associate with other positive people. Now, this is a chicken or egg thing, because you could say, sure, they have a positive attitude, they're rich, who wouldn't? But is that it, or are they rich because they had a positive attitude? But I do think who you associate with has a big effect on your own mental state. If you've ever had a friend who was very complaining or negative or pessimistic, you do feel it. And I think it does kind of wear off on you. The next one is in fashion. Sweater vests are in fashion for women again after decades. I can't even remember the last sweater vest I owned. It was probably 20 years ago. So that's in. October is Depression something month, awareness month. Nothing really new there other than that this is the month that we're supposed to be aware of it. I'm wondering if that's because this is when this time of year is when the light starts to fade, and if that contributes to depression. But that's just my own speculation. And here's one that's very interesting. Giving birth later in life could mean that you, the mother, live longer. And what they've discovered is that telomeres, which are the proteins to protect the ends of chromosomes, stay longer for older mothers. Nobody knows why. I would have thought it was the other way around. I would have thought that the stress of having a baby on your body and your mind when you're older might shorten your life. But nope, definitely makes it longer, at least with the research they have up till now. But it's one of those findings where they know it's true, but they'll have to do a lot more research to discover what is the mechanism that leads to that outcome. Now, last but most, this is the most important thing I believe we're being distracted from by all the stuff that's going on right now, is global warming. Now, whether or not you think that global warming is caused by people, or is a natural fluctuation of nature, or both, we still have to fix it. We're the only ones who can. It's damaging the planet. We don't want to leave a bad deal for our kids and grandkids. I've lived in the LA area my whole life, and it's not the same. It's different. It's hotter. The bugs are different. It's just the weather is not what it used to be. But that's just my anecdotal experience. But the scientific community does accept now that global warming is real. And it really doesn't matter why, as long as we fix it. We must fix it. And the news story this week was that half of the coral reef on the Great Barrier Reef, has been killed by global warming. This is devastating to marine animals. The nooks and crannies of a coral reef are the habitat for many species of fish and other marine life. That's where they hide, that's where they live, reproduce. If that goes away, it's going to take down so much ocean life with it. And that's just one part of it. The part that scares me the most is ice shelves and icebergs melting, because there's no way to get that back. So, going back to my quote about the action is where it isn't, I think we all need to look at the other things happening in our world and not allow ourselves to become overly distracted by what is pushed forward in the news night and day, and take a look at all the things that have always been happening and continue to happen. Thank you for listening to me. Bye.